to preach because I probably won't be able to stop cussing. But let me tell y'all something. I know some of y'all have been frustrated and you've been saying, where are the Democrats? Where are our leaders? Well, I'm here to tell you that we ain't never left y'all, all right? We are here. We are also going to make sure that they uphold the law. We are not going to sit around while you go ahead and desecrate our Constitution, or you look at the laws that have been passed into law and say, never mind, we'll just ignore that. Instead, we are going to be in your face, we are going to be on your asses, and we are going to make sure, you understand what democracy looks like, and this ain't it.
Concerned about the DOJ being weaponized by the White House. I am concerned about the FBI being used for purposes outside of our domestic security and maintaining peace at home. So, weaponization of the Department of Justice. This phrase, the weaponization of government, is something that has been overly used and repeated by my Republican colleagues. They use it as a war cry, a battle call, to justify dismantling federal agencies and the purging of thousands of hardworking, dedicated federal servants who swore an oath to protect the Constitution and the rule of law.
I can't say anything because this video will be demonetized and removed, but Jasmine Crockett did, and we'll see that she told Elon that it was ideal. You'll feel much better as a result. I've watched it about 10 times, and in this short clip, we'll get into a flawless critique of Democrats' approach to the Trump administration. It was the epitome of being unrepentant, all out, and unreserved. However, before we watch that video, we had the opportunity to hear Jasmine Crockett's speech at a new subcommittee today, in which she criticized Donald Trump for using the DOJ as a weapon alongside Pam Bondi and Elon Musk. If you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button if you like our channel. It means a lot to me and goes a long way.
We got to take a look.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. This is my first time serving as a ranking member of a subcommittee during a hearing, and I am grateful to be here today. I look forward to working with you and the rest of this committee on behalf of the American people. Before I was elected to Congress or to the Texas House of Representatives, I was a public defender and civil rights attorney by trade. I know about the Department of Justice and what they're supposed to be doing. I am also very concerned by a rogue DOJ, or one that is not beholden to the American people. I am very concerned about the DOJ being weaponized by the White House. I am concerned about the FBI being used for purposes outside of our domestic security and maintaining peace at home. So, weaponization of the Department of Justice. This phrase, the weaponization of government, is something that has been overly used and repeated by my Republican colleagues. They use it as a war cry, a battle call, to justify dismantling federal agencies and the purging of thousands of hardworking, dedicated federal servants who swore an oath to protect the Constitution and the rule of law. If the purpose of this hearing today is to examine and expose the weaponization of government, specifically the weaponization of Department of Justice, then it is essential that we understand what exactly weaponization means. Fortunately, history is kind to us. Last Congress, the House Judiciary Committee held numerous hearings on this notion of weaponization. And in those hearings, Republicans described weaponization as, quote, corruption, quote, government abuse and political treachery, having the government act, quote, against people who were innocent and did nothing wrong, quote, targeting people of one political persuasion. And as one of my colleagues aptly described, quote, if you speak up about the abuses you are seeing, excuse me, or are sharing information that may not fall in line with the political narrative, you will be suspended without pay, have your security clearance revoked, or your life will be turned upside down. It's pretty clear that the MO is, if you don't comply, they will retaliate. If you don't agree with their political agenda, you get suspended. They do it in such a way to deter others from speaking up and speaking out. These are not my words. These are not the words of Ranking Member Raskin or Leader Jeffries. These are the words of congressional Republicans. This is what they believe embodies weaponization. I am the first to admit that I don't often agree with many things that my Republican colleagues say, but wholeheartedly concur with their descriptions here. What concerns me, however, is the inability of my colleagues on the other side to connect the dots that are in front of them, while the rest of America is watching as this DOJ weaponization takes hold right before our eyes. And to be clear, what we are witnessing happening before us satisfies the descriptions used by my Republican colleagues. Corruption. Any lawyer with a good head on their shoulders will tell you that the recent attempt by Trump's DOJ to drop the corruption case against Mayor Adams is ironically riddled with corruption itself.
We only require one additional 1,000. I am really appreciative of the tone Jasmine Crockett has adopted, and we are excited to have her on the show because of this. I hope to have her on the show soon because I have some exciting news to share about some upcoming work we're doing with Congress, so keep an eye out. Jasmine Crockett would probably address every issue facing this country, including those related to messaging and governance. Therefore, now is an ideal moment to click that alert. There will be some important news shortly if you haven't heard it already, but let's stop teasing. Let's get straight to the point, Jasmine Crockett said. That's right, here's what you would say to Elon Musk directly if you could proceed okay. That's all? How could we just watch the footage once? Why didn't we watch it more than once?
This is why I'm not going to be able to preach, because I probably won't be able to stop cussing. But let me tell y'all something. I know some of y'all have been frustrated, and you've been saying, where are the Democrats? Where are the leaders? Well, I'm here to tell you that we ain't never left y'all, all right? We are here. We are also going to make sure that they uphold the law. We are not going to sit around while you go ahead and desecrate our Constitution, or you look at the laws that have been passed into law and say, never mind, we'll just ignore that. Instead, we are going to be in your face, we are going to be on your asses, and we are going to make sure you understand what democracy looks like, and this ain't it.
Let's watch it again as it made me grin. If you could leave, what would you say to Elon Musk directly? Since we elected them, we should hold our representatives to high standards and have high expectations of our party. Just ask Democrats to do this, which is untrue. In fact, we should ask a lot. Hakeem, I don't want to continuously criticize Jeffrey, but I don't think it's bad. And if you think that there are people who want to protest and complain, he indicated on Stephen A. Smith's show that he's seeing a lot of them. You should fight back against Republicans if you want to expose Eric Adams' corruption and accuse him of being a Trump operative. Some people may even claim that Democrats are powerless, so if you think it's far-left criticism, you might have to use your hands. That's only sensible, but that doesn't mean we can ignore the need to push back. We must expose the corruption with our voices every day, and we cannot give them legitimacy. The work being done by Jasmine Crockett is a great illustration. For example, if someone gave her a trophy or something, I would bring it to her the next time I see her as a thank you. Other than talking about her every day, which we will definitely be doing, and doing more after watching the rest of that clip, I'm not sure how else we can show our appreciation.
Quote, particularly concerned about the impact of the prosecution on Mayor Adams' ability to support critical ongoing federal efforts to protect the American people from the disastrous effects of unlawful mass immigration and resettlement. Put differently, the Department of Justice wants Mayor Adams to give fealty to Trump and also use him to execute Trump's immigration policy in New York City. The blatant corruption of this quid pro quo alone should warrant this subcommittee to investigate the current weaponization of this Department of Justice. But this is far from the only example of weaponization occurring before us. Next, government abuse and political treachery. Make no mistake, acting Deputy Attorney General Emil Bove ordering Brian Driscoll, the then acting director of the FBI, to turn over a list of not just current but also former FBI staff who were assigned, quote, at any time to investigations and/or prosecutions related to the events that occurred at or near the U.S. Capitol on January 6, end quote. It is a clear illustration of government abuse targeting employees they wrongfully claim are political adversaries. In fact, rather than utilize the FBI's time and resources to protect America from cyber attacks, terrorism, and other violent crimes, Trump's DOJ is choosing to spend resources to build loyalty to Trump. If that is not government abuse, I just don't know what is. Third, the view that the government is acting, quote, against people who were innocent and did nothing wrong. For those of you who may not be familiar, when career prosecutors and staff at DOJ are assigned to cases, they take these tasks on not because of power or politics, but because it is quite simply part of the job. It's rare that prosecutors get every case they want. Instead, prosecutors and staff are assigned cases because of their capacity, experience, and expertise. But where we see commitment to the Constitution and the rule of law, the Trump DOJ sees reason for retribution. This has already taken shape in various forms, but notably, on January 27th, Trump's then acting Attorney General James McHenry fired DOJ officials on those of who which worked on federal criminal investigations into Trump. Let me repeat this. They fired DOJ officials who did nothing wrong. These officials simply did their jobs. Now finally, quote, targeting people of one political persuasion. While I just briefly touch on this point, I want to be very clear with the American people. Within the last 35 days, Trump's DOJ has already sent inquiry letters to Democratic members of Congress for speaking out and criticizing Elon Musk. Our task on this subcommittee today is to conduct real congressional oversight of the Department of Justice, because this notion of weaponization is not simply a threat, it is a reality. The public is worried. Career attorneys are worried. Congress is worried. The world is worried. Every day that passes, the Department of Justice is losing institutional knowledge and exceptional attorneys because of a blind arrogance and vengeance. We owe it to this country to come together to call out weaponization happening today, to call out corruption, government abuse, attacks on innocent people, and the targeting of people with different political views. We owe it to everyone to speak the truth, even if the truth is hard to hear. We owe it to us all to preserve our country's rule of law. And the final point that I'll make is that there were a number of attorneys that were brought up in the chairman's opening remarks. Attorney General Letitia James of New York, as well as DA Fani Willis. I do want to point out that each of these women are women that were duly elected in their states, and Fani Willis was just reelected. That is not federal lawfare. That is not weaponization of the federal government. Both of those women work on the state level. And the final point that I'll make is that while they work on state levels, there were only a certain amount of cases that were able to be tried prior to the election. Any cases that did take place, whether they were civil cases or federal cases, I do want to point out, regardless of who brought those cases ultimately, at least the ones that did go, they ultimately went to juries. They went to juries that were full of American citizens, juries that were not asked, are you going to sit here and support Donald Trump and his agenda, or do you have some left-wing agenda? They were given an opportunity to hear the evidence, and they were able to rule based on the evidence that was presented to them. I am someone who misses the courtroom every single day, as I practiced for 17 years before entering into Congress. And if we continue to pretend as if the voices of everyday American citizens don't matter when they have an opportunity to listen to both sides of a case and make a decision, then we really are in for a rude awakening in this country. One thing that we should do as members of Congress is we should preserve our institutions and make sure we build them up to the point that people have trust. And when you walk into a courtroom, you have no idea who's walking in and who just decided that they would actually show up for jury duty. And I am here to tell you that I still believe in that imperfect but beautiful system that we have in this country.
This is how the hypocrisy that is a component of MAGA is revealed. I frequently claim that MAGA, a member of Donald Trump's pro-family party, cheated on him 3 times, including once while one of his wives was expecting. In order to save him money, one of his spouses now works at a golf club. Additionally, take note of Elon's baby mama drama, which involves his willful disrespect for his children. It seems that these individuals are awful when someone has a health issue, as the censorship party is currently considering, which reporters are allowed to question the president on what they can and cannot say, as well as what language they can and cannot use. I was about to say that we need more voices like Jasmine Crockett, but I don't think we'll get them. I'm not sure if we'll ever get someone as vocal as her. This is scary stuff, especially considering that you are backing Putin and all the other autocrats who will write love letters to Donald Trump. Fantastic as Jasmine Crockett, but maybe we'll get voices like her. She is at the top, but maybe if we all work together, we can produce half of her voice. For that reason, we'll keep talking on the show every day as usual. You can help that by liking this video and clicking the subscribe button. If you're still here at the end, you can leave a blue bar in the comment section. Until we meet again, I'll see you soon.